What's up, everybody? Brothers, sisters, psychonauts, and seekers of truth. It is Ananka, and welcome to my bazaar. Today I have a Peyote trip report for you. The title of this trip report is Plunged into a World of Geometry and Snakes, and was submitted to Erowid in 2007 by the user Shaman. No age or prior drug experience is given, and with all that being said, let our story begin. A best friend of mine is full Native American. His mother was an experienced shaman and used peyote as part of her religion to induce visions that had value to her dogma. For years, me and her son had tried to persuade her to let us try her sacred drink, but she would always modestly turn us down, telling her son that he was not mentally mature enough to handle it, and telling me that I was white and would not understand nor enjoy the experience. One day, when we were both 18, my best friend and I decided to spend part of the evening toking some homegrown northern lights that he had been growing. The normal and familiar intoxication followed. We continuously laughed and made jokes over issues. This followed some weightlifting, video games, sparring, and an evening walk. Later, we returned home to finish the stash and probably go out and hit up the strip. We packed the bong and took several tokes before the door swung open. Caught. His mother, the only parent living with him, came in and sat across from him. He had moved the bong behind him and was hiding the remains of the weed in his closed fist. "What are you hiding?" his mother asked, raising an eyebrow. It was obvious at this point that we were both incredibly stoned. His eyes darted to me and back to him. As always, while under the influence of marijuana, I am able to perceive body language much better. "Jonathan, let me see it. I'm going to smoke some too," she said. Me and Jonathan looked at each other and burst into uncontrollable laughter. "No way, Mom." "Okay, but you have to let me and Tim in on that tea." Her eyes spaced out for a second, her face completely calm and confident, giving nothing away. Then she nodded. "Fair enough." Jonathan reveals to her the large bong hidden away. She takes a very large toke and clears the whole bowl piece and stares ahead, her face expressionless. Then she blows the whole cloud of smoke out without coughing. Needless to say, me and John were impressed. She then disappeared into her room, locked her door, and emerged about a half hour later with 2 large wooden cups with colorful designs. She beckoned us into the living room. We sat, candles lit across the dim room. She raised the cup to her mouth and breathed into it, but in a controlled burst, making hissing noises into the fluid. She then spoke in her native language as if blessing the drink and handed one to me, doing the same with the next and handing it to Jonathan. We both gulped the disgusting tasting fluid down quickly, almost gagging. She took our cups and stood. "You must be left in solitude to fully learn the plant. With this," she retires to her room. We sat there, waiting for something to happen, not sure what to think. Somewhere along the way, we fell asleep. I have no dreams, only inky blackness and deep, undisturbed sleep. I wake in a cold sweat. Jonathan has just gotten up and ran up to the bathroom. He's very loud at this point, yelling out profanity. I'm still in the haze of my sleep, not really catching all he's saying. I look at the clock, and we've been asleep for 2 hours. The candles across the room seem to dance and sway, but I'm not paying attention. I jump to my feet and follow Jonathan down the hall. I can hear him in his bathroom, vomiting. Before I can even make it to the bathroom, something has hit me. I look at the door at the end of the hall. It bursts wildly out of control and spins to the left and the right, almost like it's a top, but never fully completing a 180-degree turn. It seems like it's charging toward me, swaying back and forth. My heart skips a beat and I instinctively raise my hands in a classic karate stance as if to fight it off. I can see my fist in front of me, and yet they look so foreign. My hands seem to expand and swell, as if made of some type of liquid. Then they dissolve and melt into bright colors, hues of blue and green, mostly blue. What is it? I say out loud. I can't. I can't. It's too much. I managed to gasp out. I immediately felt like I'd gone in way too over my head. I felt like I felt the sense of deja vu when I had once been talked into riding the scariest roller coaster at Busch Gardens. And once I was on it, I became so frightened that I wanted it to end. This was exactly how I felt right now, and things got worse. I could still hear Jonathan in the bathroom, mumbling and random words. I knew he was in the same world I was, yet I felt a million miles away from him, stuck in my own dilemma, fighting my own demons. I turned and made my way to the door and lay in the center of the floor. The light fixture overhead turned into a large, insectoid-looking structure before my eyes that hovered over me. I was terrified. No, no, I screamed. The creature then seemed to speak to me, breaking away into a jewel-like structure, moving in a clockwise, wise pattern. Each wave making weird noises I can't describe in words. I curled myself into a ball and buried my face deep within the fibers of the carpet, only to be immersed in the world of the most insane closed-eye visuals I'd ever seen. I've done extremely high doses of shrooms, eaten a half-ounce before, 800 milligrams of DXM, as well as several salvia experiences, and yet nothing was like this. It was out of this world. I was traveling down a blue-lit path through space. I was being sucked into a black hole. Slowly, as I grew closer to the black, ominous object, the figures of Orion swirled and waved around it. It was getting closer. As I got closer, everything split into two, separated by the intense gravitational field. I was flung at full light speed through the event horizon, where all the lights circled around in a cone shape, unable to escape the pool. I was spinning, very quickly, faster than I could imagine in a world of light and colors, into the singularity, which was the realm of the unknown. I opened my eyes and ran out the front door, and puked in the front lawn. I immediately felt better. It was quiet, and for a second or two, the visions stopped. Then they started again, gentler, milder this time, and more euphoric. The blades of the grass rose and circled around me, moving, very much alive. Bright yellow flowers from her garden slowly hued over to blue and extended their petals, creating snakes flowing from the center of the flower, which became a flux of geometrical creation. It was no longer frightening. It was beautiful, completely beautiful. The geometry became vines, tongues, and swirls of rainbow colors. Wow, I managed. I turned my head to view the whole quiet suburban street, and everything was swept away by light and colors. I looked up at the sky, and the stars shone down, only to travel to the center and create an orb in the sky that I perceived as God. The orb separated into halos of geometry that extended further and further away in waves until they made up the whole sky, all moving in a beautiful sea of religious, geometrical shapes. First making the Star of David, then a cross, and expanding away into snakes. The snakes were all around me now. One curled around my body and eyeballed me for a few seconds with non-hostile eyes. It then curled and spun away, my eyes following it, watching it absorb the whole world into a flash of brilliant colors. I can't remember how long I stood there, remarked by nature. It must have been hours, just standing in one spot, blown away by the visions and the animality and significance of each. I had returned into the house to find Jonathan sitting on his bed, his mother sitting next to him. I was still hallucinating heavily at this point, and my body still felt heavy, yet undefinably free. I felt like I was expanding and becoming part of my vision. It's totally hard to describe in words. Jonathan was talking of his visions. I looked at the clock, yet could not see the letters. Whenever I almost got a good glance at the lettering, they dissolved into particles and were lost into the fabric of time. The time, I spoke out loud. 3:30. Your experience is almost over. Slowly the visions became more and more subtle. consisting of only changes in colors of Jonathan's face. His mother had left the room, and we talked of our visions. I told him of the beautiful snakes and colors I had seen outside. He said he saw skeletons. He said he saw his own body as a skeleton with no flesh. He talked of horrifying visions of hell, of insects crawling across his floor, the scariest being a scorpion with a large stinger. We spent the whole remaining of the late night talking of our visions and our enlightenment from each till morning. To this day, I still have a strong belief that peyote is a gateway into an invisible world that is unseen and not understood by the naked eye and the sober mind. Everything around us, a rock, a blade of grass, contains a spirit and a consciousness. Since then, I have an undeniable newfound respect for the life of plants and animals. I long to repeat the experience again.